Way of the Samurai 4 is a Ronin lifestyle simulator by Acquire. The seaside town of Amihama is at the center of a political struggle between the shogunate, ambassadors of the British Empire, the xenophobic Pratnyas, Joey to their friends, and the Ronin protagonist is stuck in the middle with the fate of the town resting on their shoulders. The game opens with a skirmish between the three powers, and your dialogue options alter the trajectory of the cutscenes and by extension the story in ways both subtle and grand. Not every option telegraphed to you has a massive effect, a lot of them are just questions for more context on the story and characters, but on the other hand there are options you have or conditions you can fulfill that aren't telegraphed to you at all. If you act like a big sourpuss pansy, nobody will like you, but if you act like king shit of Dick Mountain, everyone will want to be your friend, but they'll want to fight you first. This is good advice for real life. After the skirmish, regardless of the side you took, if you even took a side, you're dumped into the town where the real game begins. When you're starting out, you'll kinda just wander around lost, talking to people and hoping they'll talk back. A very, very small minority of NPCs will have jobs for you so you can make some mon. Doing jobs gets you mon towards food, beat for the fishing minigame, or so dojin with a smithy can strengthen your weapons. The closest analog to the open world is probably Like a Dragon, but only on the surface. First off, unlike the singular, expansive world standard to Yakuza since the PS2, Amihama is split into about 10 locales that you travel between. Second, as a samurai, you're allowed to cut anyone down in the street to test the sharpness of your blade, including women, which would be absolutely unthinkable in any RGG. The most substantial aspect of the open world, unless you count the side quests as one big box to check off, is the dojo located in town. After obtaining ownership, either by beating the sensei or if she's not there, just buying it from the original owner, you can start wandering around and beating people with the back of your blade and asking them to be your pupil. If you're wondering why my dojo is populated entirely by women, don't worry. I'm the first queer white person to be normal about Japanese women. There are actually multiple in-game reasons. First, young women are by and large the most effective people to conscript as pupils for the dojo's rating. And second is because I am a pervert, but not like that. If you have a 5-star dojo populated entirely by women, which is again the easiest way to obtain 5 stars anyway, you might get challenged by another pervert who drops the sex haver martial arts style, which is the only way to seduce men and complete the sex checklist. Or sec list. The process of getting to a full dojo of women is a big pain in the ass. First, anytime a character spawns, there's a chance that they'll already be a student. Then, if you challenge someone to a fight, there's a chance they'll run away. And then, if you're able to beat them in a fight, there's a chance they'll just run away anyways. And then, if they don't run away, there's a chance they'll just reject your offer. And while you're doing all that, if a challenger pops in, there's a decent chance they'll start killing your pupils before Sensei can deal with them. If Sensei's not there, don't even bother trying to beef up your dojo's ranks. You'll be spending more time fighting off losers than playing the game. It feels kinda like a giant waste of my fucking time to build up a decent dojo, but it's not just the sex haver martial arts. Other high-level dojo challengers will have their own unique styles or weapons. If you're a completion pervert, you'll have your work cut out for you in this one. There are actually a ton of combat styles, over 100 across 5 weapon types, including dual-wielding, 2 different firearms, and claws to buff your martial arts styles, but a lot of them end up being kinda redundant. Katanas have 7 stances that each style can pick one of, and each style on a stance will tend to share moves from other styles in that same stance. After you've mastered a variety of moves in a stance, you can talk to the dojo owner, or dojo owner, to build a unique style from constituent parts, including every kind of passive ability that are usually exclusive to a single style. Essentially, once you've collected and learned all the styles, each stance will be an unstoppable whirlwind of attacks with bonuses to vitality retention and damage reduction and speed eating and speed drinking and special attacks for sheathing and unsheathing. Samurai uses a 2-button combat system with push and pull commands for access to more moves, not entirely unlike a Devil May Cry, but maybe it's more generic than I know. The more you use each style, the more moves you learn, the more openings you'll have in combat. It's a really fun and engaging system. Some might call it punishing or clunky, but I think of it as methodical and textured. As far as mediocre combat systems go, I like this one a lot. Even before making my own style, it felt great to carve through dozens of enemies at a time, and after developing a style with reach, speed, and crowd control, I felt like a wrathful god wreaking havoc on the common folk. There's not a lot of competition, but I think this game has my favorite EI combat. And even when you've got a perfect sword with triple vitality regen, enemies still won't leave you a lot of room for error. Attacks can deal massive damage, and health only regenerates when you're standing still, so if you're not careful, enemies will cleave right through you. The only real problem is the difficulty I had just trying to tap the stick into a step dodge. You can step dodge reliably by jumping while blocking, but that's 3 inputs you have to put in at once. Tapping to dodge is a lot simpler, and I'd like to imagine more fun, but I just couldn't get it to work consistently. Even though I never had a problem putting out whatever moves I wanted outside of forgetting what input does what attack. There's even a juggle. Look at him go! I'm not great at juggling, but it doesn't demand as much skill from you as other combat systems. I found a couple B&Bs, and that's been enough to take me through the game. More than skill, the power of your sword is what determines what difficulty you should play on. A tipperoo from me to you. No matter how good you are at video games, start on easy, because the climb to a good sword will be substantially harder on normal mode. To develop a good sword, you need to start with the constituent parts. Each part can have a maximum of 3 charms, and if the charms on all 3 parts form a line, then the resulting sword will have that charm. There's a good variety of charms, but the most important one is Life and Death, which recovers your vitality, the second health bar that feeds back into your first health bar and functions as a stamina meter for performing powerful moves. Maybe you see the problem already. Using your attacks drains your stamina meter, and healing life drains your stamina meter, so playing the game at all means you're depleting your singular combat resource. And later battles get really fucking long, so by the end if you aren't carrying an entire case of peeps in your pocket, you're gonna be running on empty for most of the game. Unless you've got a life and death sword, of course, which in turn trivializes combat because vitality isn't something you need to worry about anymore. If you want a charmed sword, one of the fastest methods is to talk to the smithy and refresh the shop over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you get a part with the right charms in the right spots. And then you do it 2 more times. Dojima only carries 1 length of blade, so if you want a sword with reach, you'll need to find the sword you want, then deconstruct it and hope it has the charms you want and the spots you need, and if not, you reconstruct it into a new sword and deconstruct it again. A process which I'm sure you can tell takes far longer than the already obscene shop grind. Now I may be stupid, but I'm no fool. I can tell when my time is being wasted, and not in the fun way. I don't go to the casino, I don't open crates, and I don't fucking play gacha games. So instead, I looked up cheats. There's an online tool for Samurai 4 that modifies the first weapon in your sack, which I use to give my already upgraded weapon 3 life and death charms. If you're playing on original hardware, God help you. Alright, you've wandered around, you've got the lay of the land, you've built up a decent sword, you've got a good style, now it's time to actually play the game. Once again, your decisions determine which factions want to jump your bones, but it's really only important what you do at the very beginning. If you act like a loser, everyone hates you, and if you act like a bad butt samurai, everyone likes you. By acting like the hardest samurai and beating everyone in a fight, every faction will be available to you for the 3 days before the endgame starts. You can mix and match which ones you want to work for. For example, it's generally beneficial to keep the English language school open because it allows me to speak to the foreigners of Little Britain, so even if I'm siding with Joey, I might work for the magistrate on that one. When you directly oppose a faction in an event, you aren't locked out of them. You just need to apologize the next time you speak to them, even if you killed a bunch of people. It doesn't even count as an embarrassing action. This might seem like a giant misstep in narrative design. It'd be cool if directly opposing a faction had actual consequences for your player character, but honestly, between apologizing or locking myself out of roots, I would rather apologize. This design aspect seeps into the side content. There are multiple side quests you can do that are actual fucking massacres of dozens of Yakuza and constables, up to 100. But when you finish the quest, you can go about your day as if nothing happened. The Yakuza and Magistrate will still treat you like a perfect member of the faction. Nobody fucking cares. With all the care that's taken into developing Amihama into a living world, even small points like these will make it feel like a big plastic playset. It is a video game, and it is designed to be fun for the player to make an impact in the world in their own way, but I know there are perverts out there who want a samurai lifestyle sim that punishes the player for not practicing tsujigiri against enough women. I played a little Samurai 3 while writing this video because it went on sale and it seems a little more intensive that way. I failed a quest and then everyone in town wanted to kill me when I got back. That was my experience based on 90 minutes of play. Each event, proper noun, you complete for a faction shifts the clock forward 1 step, from day to evening to night and back to day. For the first 4 days, the schedule is fairly rigid. There are events for each faction at each time of day until day 4, which consists of a sponsoring event in the tournament, which itself is influenced by your sponsor. Your sponsor can be any one of the 3 factions as long as you did enough events for them and didn't piss them off too bad. After the tournament, if you didn't get a sponsor, you get the easiest ending where you just become a cop again. After the tournament, if you did get sponsored, you're locked into choosing between one of the 2 endings associated with your faction. The endings are all distinct both narratively and in the final battle, but basically as soon as the tournament is over, the game is ready to end. You get a couple cutscenes, maybe a fight or 2, but once you tell the faction rep you're ready, the climax begins. Feel free to take your time though. You're the most important boy in the world, so they will wait for you. This is your last chance to take an Amihama, do some side quests, fuck some men, whatever. Don't worry too much, you'll be back. The climax begins, it ends, the narration scrolls past, and the game is over. That was pretty short. Oh well. Make a post-game save file, load it back up, create a new character, or don't, and start it up again. While you're walking around, you might notice a few things. The sensei is still at the dojo. Dojima's still a smithy. You could speak English. And there's a weird angry guy walking around who looks exactly like you. Many of the choices you've made will have lingering effects on repeat playthroughs, and this is still one of the coolest mechanics I've seen in a game like this. The gimmick loses a little charm when you realize just how deep it goes, which is not very, but it's still really novel, even fucking 15 years after release. I didn't play Rise of the Ronin. Playing through each ending and rounding out the townspeople with more and more freaks is surprisingly rewarding, and the more you play, the more samurai points you get, the more shit you can unlock for future new game cycles, ranging from customization options, licenses so more enemies will drop their combat styles, to female PCs. There's always more to do and more to unlock. Way of the Samurai 4 is a messy game with a messier port. Visual bugs, audio cuts in and out, random crashes, and all at 30 FPS. But somewhere in there is a great time. There are more than a couple design elements I simply don't like, but it's all more than made up for by design elements that I've never seen get implemented like this. The unfurling of new mechanics over higher difficulties, the choose-your-own-adventure type story design, the permanent changes to the world based on player choice, even the clunky combat just feels great to engage with. I've actually been thinking about this game for like a decade, and I'm not the only one. I played it for like 30 hours when I was 17, and I went back to it last month and more than doubled my time in it. I fucking love video games. If you're interested, it goes on sale on Steam for like $5, and if you're looking for a decidedly less silly experience, consider Samurai 3, which fans say is even better than Samurai 4, but know that I haven't fucking played it.
Samurai is kind of a fantasy I return to. The last few years I've thought if I ever go crazy in old age, I hope I become like a Don Quixote, but for samurai. Or like a Yakuza protagonist.